Back up in it again. Doing it one time.
Your boys got bumper money. And zip ties, motherfucker.
From all that money we get from stealing catalytic converters.
35 a pop. Dude, one of my homies, he graduated out of the catalytic converter game. Dude, he just started yanking the bed of a truck, like the door.
Oh, shit.
He just yanked the whole doors off trucks.
God damn.
Oh, it's fucking brilliant.
Jesus fuck. You know what I didn't do was unplug the fridge. Give me a second.
Yeah, take it up.
The sheer concept of having to unplug my fridge before I do anything that's not work on the fridge or move the fridge in some way is so fucked. It's so fucking like hillbilly. Welcome to the... No, that's nothing like that. Welcome to the Trashcats Trashcast. I'm Richard.
I'm Steven.
And today we're just trash twerking because the world is a great place to be and everything is perfect and exactly how it should be.
Just twerking and jerking, baby.
Goddamn right. Steven, how was your week?
It's been okay. I've been busy and tired, but there's been a little more sun lately. Got a little bit of art done. I did have something weird happen, but you go first. How's your week? Anything new?
I also had something kind of weird happen. Not like in a weird way. I did it to myself.
Okay.
It's been a week. This is not like bad specifically or anything. So Saturday morning, I usually wake up on my Saturdays. I go to bed early on Friday so I can wake up at like 4 a.m. and I go to the farmer's market.
Yeah.
Friday night around 11:30, I was laying in bed and I was like, I kept like not being able to fall asleep right because I had like back pain and I couldn't figure out the fuck it was. Around like 1:30 a.m., I actually realized, okay, this is a kidney stone. And, but like, it wasn't like super painful. I just recognized that that's what it was. And usually it kind of builds in intensity. So I couldn't get to sleep. And around 2 o'clock, I decided, okay, fuck, I'm just going to stay up. I'm like going back and forth, chugging water, trying to pass it and figuring out if I need to like call out of work. And, around 4 o'clock or so, I pass it and I'm like, okay, I'm fine. And I finish getting ready for work, get in there and, I start feeling another one coming on while I'm at work. Not as intense, but there is definitely something there. Finished up work around 2 o'clock, passed it, and then I went out to get some drinks with a friend. And
as you do after passing.
As you do, yeah.
Of course.
I've been drinking water like all day long. I'm super hydrated. I just need some food and some alcohol, and I'm straight. Anyways, I get home and I'm fucking exhausted. It's like 4:30 or something. I've been up since 1 and, and like tossing and turning all night anyways. So I'm pretty sure I talked about it on the recording last week. I made weed honey.
Yeah.
I made a little drink with that. I made a little cocktail. I made like a simple syrup out of it and I put about an ounce of that in with a tequila and made a little margarita out of it. It was very good.
For as trashy as you are, you're pretty classy.
Yeah.
That's some classy shit right there.
Just make a little margarita. I got some nice it's nicer tequila. It's añejo, which is like, sipping tequila. I mix that with a little bit of triple sec and some curacao and that fucking honey and I got good and toasty on it because I wasn't like buzzed or anything, but I hadn't eaten much and then had
kidney stones,
had some drinks and I'm like tired as shit and so that's around like 4:30. Around like 5:30, closer to 6, I fell asleep and I continued to like I would wake up every so many hours, but like fall right back asleep and I'm like on the couch. But I was I was too tired to move down to my bed. I ended up sleeping for like 14 hours.
Oh yeah, that's like the alcoholic nod, basically. The wake up, go back to sleep.
Yeah, I think I
Nice.
I got up and I was like going to make coffee at one point. And then I sat back down and like just fell back asleep. Because it's like, fuck it. What am I doing? It's Sunday. I'm not doing shit anyway.
Yeah.
But basically I have, within those windows where I would wake up, I was just in a coma. And even like Sunday, I was like in a stupor kind of all day.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't a bad thing. It was just like my entire day was wasted.
That's a great thing. Did you get the spins? Did you go to the spin zone at all?
No, not like that. I was just way too
just
high.
slumping.
An ounce of this, even after I mixed it with water, an ounce of this was way too much.
Yeah.
So I learned, but the good news is the weed honey I made is very strong.
Oh, yeah.
So you get more use out of it. You just got to go light with it.
Well, I'm glad you don't have any more kidney stones. I will say, next time you pass one that is large enough, you have to keep it.
Well, I need something to pee into to strain it.
I will send you my personal straining cup because I think our top fans, our top tier patrons should get one of your kidney stones.
I'm down with that. I'm absolutely down with that. If someone emails us like, hey, I'd love a kidney stone, I will mail you a kidney stone.
That's what I'm saying. Every piss you take now needs to be
Go through a strainer. I still have, actually, this is funny. I still have one of the piss jugs they gave me, one of the medical grade piss jugs they gave me when
that's what I'm
they were
talking
doing
about.
the urine analysis. Well, I decided I never used it. And it was brand new. It still got the tags on it and shit. I'm considering, it's a 3-liter jug. I'm considering using that for my water this summer.
Yes, dude.
Just put ice, because the mouth of it's big enough. You can put like whole ice cubes in there. I'm thinking I'm just going to put like, make lemonade or make like some electrolyte drink and put it in there and drink that while I'm on the truck this summer.
That's a conversation starter if I've ever.
Right? What the fuck are you drinking out of? Is that a piss jug?
You're going to pick up so many chicks with your new water bottle.
I'm all about the reduce, reuse, recycle,
Hell yeah. Oh, man.
But other than that, my week's just been, I think I've been looking at the news too much. I've been starting to get the existential dread kind of thing of like, what could this whole unpleasantness in the Ukraine turn out to be?
You signing up? You enlisting?
We're above the age of the typical age of draft anyway.
Speak for yourself. I'll die for my country. What are my combat boots right now?
If I could make a list of 10 things that Steven would die for, and the country would not be on that anywhere.
Dude, you gotta be such a fucking loser to enlist. Holy shit.
Oh, goddamn.
Soldier Boy wants to fight in foreign lands.
Oh, goddamn.
All right, so I got one. So I'm waiting to get some blood results back, right? Mm-hmm. I gotta say, I got a little scared. Okay.
Okay.
So it happened again. This time I was already awake, but I hear a squeal. I scurry too, right?
Okay.
What the fuck is that noise? My cat has another mouse.
Oh.
And it's like mutilated, cut in half, but it's still alive, right?
Right.
Sarah scoops it up with a box, and I take the cat, and I'm like praising her. You call a cat who catches mice. What was it? A mousecata? What was it?
A mouseketeer?
It's just like a mouser. It's a mouser. A cat that catches mice is a mouser.
Okay.
So my cat's a mouser. She got this mouse. She's got it near dead, and she's playing with it. And I'm like, I'm proud of her. I'm so proud of her. She's keeping us safe, right?
Right.
She's protecting our home. But I don't want her like torturing it, and I also don't want her getting, mouse germs all over the bedroom, right? So Sarah grabs the mouse, and we, at least get it outside and hopefully somewhere comfy where it can slowly die. And I scoop up the cat, and I'm going to the bathtub to clean her paws, right? Mm-hmm. All right. She's like 10 months old, so I've only given her like 1 or 2 baths, right? I made a mistake.
Oh no.
I grossly underestimated how much she does not like water. So I go to put her in the tub. She panics, and she starts kicking and shit. She like, her paw dips the water, and then she bolted, and she is scaling my arms with her claws.
Oh
dude.
no.
The claws that were covered in mouse blood. And I like get her off real quick, and I'm like, I scraped out the cut, like poured peroxide in it, and then I'm trying to deal with her, and then like the adrenaline, little adrenaline kick passes, and I realize, just like a zombie bite, I missed the biggest cut. And I've had this open wound down the back of my forearm. Just, you can see the blood from her claws, and I know all those mouse germs are just pumping through me.
Oh yeah. You're part rat now.
Dude, I can feel my whiskers growing. The tail has sprouted. I know I'm going to die. I'm going to have rabies. There's 2 other bacterial infections that are pretty bad. Honestly, it's a pretty low chance. But, I mean, that shit can be bad. So I have to wait to see back if I get a fever up to 3 weeks later or rashes.
The rabies is one. You said you already went in for blood work?
No, I'm joking. I didn't
Oh,
know.
okay.
I'm going to die from mouse fever before I ever see a damn doctor.
This is one of the things that Steven will die for.
I'll die to not see a doctor, but not our country, that's for sure.
The chance of you getting rabies is low. The chance of you dying from rabies is even lower, because if you see any sign that's weird, you act on it, you'll be fine.
The rabies is super low, but the
other germs and bacterial shit.
There's 2 different types of like streptococcus, whatever, that are
streptococcus.
Streptococcus that are like relatively common in mice. So I don't know. It was bad though. Like I could see like mice gunk all over her paws, and then I look down, there's like a gash down my arm, and I'm like, oh, fuck. So we'll see if I become Mouse Man this week. But.
Well, you just outed yourself as the potential secret identity of Mouse Man.
Fuck.
Crime fighter and protector of Cincinnati.
Mouse Man don't need no
mask. Oh man, I would love it. That might be my new inspiration for drawing, is making Mouse Man comics. Dude, I wish I had any desire to make comics, because that would
actually
be great.
Just saw a really cool new comic book character of a cat man that I saved a picture. I'll send it to you later. He's like a well-known comic book artist, but he did like a 50s style like gentleman cat superhero. And it actually looks dope as fuck.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
Really cool art. It's almost like Batman human physique, but with like a smug looking cat face. And it's pretty dope for real.
I saw that you liked, I was going to send you a post earlier on Instagram, but I saw that you had already liked it. It was a post by Audio Opera and his Wet Leather.
Oh, God,
the wet leather superhero.
It's
what the city needs right now as a hero.
He's going hard with it right now, too.
Yeah, he's been posting a lot of shit. the wet leather ones, I saw those earlier today. There's one where he's sitting in the bar with the mask on. It's so good.
He's a wackadoo.
Funny shit.
So, should we do this thing?
Yeah, so we're going to do a quiz. The quiz we talked about doing last week.
Yeah, last week we talked about some of the dissociative disorders, specifically DDD, and we ran out of time to take our quiz, so we're going to fuck around with that for a bit today. Yeah. It'll be fun. The specific quiz, this is a real psychometric evaluation tool. It is called the Dissociative Experience Scale 2, abbreviated the DES 2. Do you mind reading the website we got it from?
Yeah, it's called traumadissociation.com/des.html.
Sweet. Yeah, we found it on there. I got a free one. This is like a real thing. So the DS2 is a 28-item self-report measure of dissociative experiences. Dissociation is often considered a psychological defense mechanism for victims of traumatizing events, and the scale is of particular use in measuring dissociation among people with PTSD, dissociative disorders, borderline personality disorder, and those with a history of abuse. More broadly, dissociative symptoms can be considered as a transdiagnostic indicator of dysfunctional coping, with many disorders being associated with higher than average dissociation. The scale can be used during the course of treatment to track progress over time.
So the DES has 3 subscales. 1 is amnesia factor, 2 is depersonalization, derealization factor, and 3 is absorption factor. As far as validity and reliability goes, in a meta-analysis showed DES has good convergent validity with other dissociative experiences questionnaires and interview schedules. The scale also showed impressive predictive validity, in particular concerning dissociative disorders, traumatic stress disorder, and abuse.
Yeah, and we've prefaced this kind of thing before. These psycho evaluation things, they're just tools. They're not for diagnosing by themselves, and we don't really know exactly how valid they are, but it's a tool to learn about yourself a little bit. And we did our look at the dissociative elements of ourselves last week, so I wanted to see if we could glean a little more. So check it out. It'll be fun.
Yeah. So let's kick it off here. Let's go. Number 1. Some people have the experience of driving or riding in a car or bus or subway and suddenly realizing that they don't remember what has happened during all or part of the trip. Select the number to show what percentage of time this happens to you. So almost all of these are like percentage answers, and it's 0 through 100.
Yeah.
I'm going.
So how spaced out do you get on the ride?
I'm going to say 10%. Because it definitely happens.
10%?
It definitely happens, but not that often.
These are going to be all right, let's make some predictions. Because last time, do you remember? I guessed our, what was it? Not the Psycho Susfest, the Dark Triad.
Yeah.
I actually guessed our results fairly accurately.
Yeah, you did.
So where do you see... We'll go over how this is scored at the end. I think it's like 20-something questions. But where do you see yourself landing? I guess for me too.
I'm thinking I'm not going to be very high on the dissociative scale. I think
you're right. I
think you're gonna land higher than me. I don't think you're gonna land high though.
Okay. It's so weird because I think you're going to land really low too, which is part of, when we talked about your experience last week, part of why it makes it, what you went through very interesting.
Right.
All right. You went 10%. I'm going at least 50. I got to do 50.
Really? You think half of the time you...
Yes. Easy.
Wow.
If I'm not driving, it's 100%.
Wow.
Anytime I'm in a moving vehicle, I am emotional. This is the thing, I put my head on the window and I let the bumpy vibrations slightly tap my head against the glass, and I think about weird shit and just zone the fuck out. Do you know? I've done that, but I'm also very conscious of the ride.
Like, I was just talking about this with my mom the other day. We went somewhere and she drove, and she was changing lanes, and I'm in the passenger seat, and I turned over my shoulder and checked the lane. I can't help it.
I do that sometimes, but I think it's 50. I'll go 50-50. I feel like that's an honest answer. I feel like I think it's probably higher, but it's probably 50-50. Okay, number 2. Some people find that sometimes they are listening to someone talk and they suddenly realize that they did not hear part or all of what was said. Select the number of percentage of time. What do you got?
Boy, that's hard. I'm stuck between 10 and 20.
I'm the same on that.
I'm willing to go. I'm willing to go 20 because it's very situational based.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's as high as 20, but I feel like it's definitely higher than the amount of times I dissociate while being in a car.
Yeah, I'm very aware of my surroundings in the sense of like hearing what people say, and one of my biggest triggers is being ignored. So I do find, even if I'm actively thinking of like, this person's such a fucking idiot or they're obviously wrong, I'm typically aware of what they're saying. Yeah. So I'll go 10%. I'll go a little lower.
I feel like I do it often when we're doing podcasting stuff because I'm looking at things and reading things and we're talking to each other.
No,
especially
I'm
in prep.
livid.
And that's why
I'm livid over it.
Well, that's why I'll tell you, like, can you repeat that? Because I just did it earlier today because it's like I caught part of it, but not enough to get context on it.
This ain't no Mickey Mouse operation we got going on. There's a lot of levers and buttons.
It's not Mickey Mouse. It's Michael the Rat.
This is a Michael the Rat operation.
He smokes old cigarette butts.
He tells us what to do.
He's out of the trash.
Our producer, Michael the Rat. All right, you got number 3?
Yes. Number 3, some people have the experience of finding themselves in a place and have no idea how they got there. Select the number to show what percentage of time this happens to you.
That's not a fair question. Because if people are honest about that is a low percentage. That's like near psychosis or other mental conditions in play.
Who this is targeting. I mean, we can broaden it up and say, like, how did any of us get here?
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what they actually mean.
No. My answer, like, 5 years ago would be so fucking high. Now, I don't go anywhere. Like, I'm never going to wake up or not know where the fuck I'm at.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a 0 for me.
I'll get 10. Some people have experiences of finding themselves dressed in clothes they don't remember putting on. That's a no from me, dog.
Yeah, that's the same.
I mean, I have, but not a long time. Some people have the experience of finding new things among their belongings that they do not remember buying. I watch every fucking penny out of my bank account.
No, I mean, like,
What are you buying that you don't remember?
That's I'm trying to think. I'm trying to be honest and think about it, but really, like, nothing.
Yeah, drugs happened all the time, but it would be more. I found out they were missing.
Yeah, he already did them.
Dude, benzos I would lose all the fucking time. So when I was at that in-house rehab for a year against my will, there was at one point they made, like, I had to move out of my apartment, and at one, like, it was sitting vacant, and at one point they made me, like, move my shit out for court or whatever. So they, like, had me take a crew of sober people there and go through all my shit to get rid of, right? And I remember being like, there's going to be so much shit here. People are going to get high off cleaning my apartment out, right? Like, people were like, what the fuck? Like, it was, like, crazy looking, too. But I found, it was, like, maybe a couple bags of weed, a little bit of, like, dope residue. But I found, and they were, like, different types of benzos, but I found the equivalent of 15 Xanny bars. Like, it was probably,
damn.
40 different pills, like, scattered throughout the house or, like, under a dresser in the carpet. Like, it was a joke. But when I, like, ran out of shit and was, like, super, super sick, we would just go clean my car and get high all day. Dude, that was the jam, bro.
I used to remember searching for couch weed.
Oh, yeah.
Couch weed was one. We got graced by the gods one day. It must have been one of somebody's older brother's friends that were partying there the night before.
Fuck yeah.
And they must have, it was underneath the fucking table. It was like maybe a dub in a bag. And it was just, we were cleaning the basement and it was like, oh
my goodness.
It's a free weed.
Now, I've never injected any drywall, but I've smoked a whole lot of it.
Jesus Christ.
And I've definitely snorted a lot of sand. But now, did you learn the pro trick for weed hunting, of weed foraging?
No.
All right, if you spill a big bag, like you use your grinder and some douchebag knocks it over and spills like a bunch of shit where it's like, I actually need this. You put a pantyhose
over the vacuum cleaner.
Yep.
Pick up that and all the cat hair and all the skin cells and dust and shit.
Yeah.
And, you just sort through that.
That gives it flavor.
Yeah, it's a flavor.
Each house has a different flavor.
You take a hit and there's like burnt hair you're smoking. It's like,
oh yeah.
Been there, dog.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 16 before. Totally.
16. I was like, never mind. Some people sometimes find they are approached by people that they do not know who call them by another name or insist that they have met before. Ooh. This is a hard one to put in percentage. I guess how 0 is never, 100 is always.
Everyone I meet's new. I've never met anyone. To say like I've definitely had that happen like once or twice before, like probably in my entire life less than 5 times. So I'm still gonna say 0.
Okay, see, this is a hard one because I can't put it at 20% of like all my engagements, but I have never once changed. I've always had, not always, but I often have had multiple phones, but I've always kept the same phone number for one of my phones, and I have gone by a couple different names, particularly, and there's a ton of people who know me as and still text my phone or whatever. So I very often get hit up by people I don't know and don't remember at all, and it's always super weird. So I'll go by 10%.
Well, is that because you've never met them before, or when you did meet them,
I was blacked out?
Yeah.
There's like a ton of...
I feel like what they're searching for here is different than the answers you're giving them. Giving answers based on, I was fucked up,
Yeah.
So it's not that you never met them, so you don't remember meeting them.
No, but the part of the question was that you have met before.
That they insist that you have met before.
Yeah. But I did meet him before. I think part of what you're saying, though, is true. I think I am going to score higher for dissociation because I have a lot of, like, artificial dissociation.
Yeah. That's fair.
But I don't know how I could answer without knowing it because it also was, like, and still is such a big part of my life.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. It is definitely going to inflate shit, though.
Some people, it's number 7. Some people sometimes have the experience of feeling as though they are standing next to themselves or watching themselves do something that they actually see themselves as if they were looking at another person. Select the number to show what percentage of the time this happens to you. I've never had that.
Never?
No.
See, I don't like... I wish they had 5% increments because I have this feeling at least multiple times a week, but by percentage of my life, that's, way less than 10%. But it happens a lot too. You've never had
No, even during the whole Truman Show shit, it was never like an out of body. I never felt like I was watching myself.
Dude, I feel like I'm living a movie. Not grandiose. Like, there's a lot of people that have that kind of association with narcissistic different shit, but I don't feel like it's like a grand tale or something, but it's like I'm in a movie and like I'm making the decisions, but it's not my life. Like, it's just what I'm experiencing.
That's depersonalization, dog.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't feel like a person a lot of the time. I'm doing my own shit. I'm in mental, like, thinky places.
You're in your own hallway.
Yeah. Dude, full circle.
Right?
We need a hallway shirt.
We need any shirt at all first. Maybe just one with a logo on it would be cool.
We'll get there.
I think we could do another full episode of just talking more about the hallway stuff.
Yeah, we've worked on it a bit, but I think that's going to be all right. Part of what we're doing with this podcast, whether we, I mean, we've talked about it, but whether we're openly acknowledging it or actively working towards it is like we're defining our philosophies of life in a lot of ways, figuring out the things we both believe or we believe are true for ourselves or just how we see the world.
And what better way to do that than to question each other and like making questions that, you know, make you open up and really consider shit that you didn't before or whatever like that. I think, this way of doing that is it's a good way of doing that.
It's awfully self-indulgent, but we are in the bar writing our code, right?
Damn right.
Hell yeah. Some people are told that they sometimes do not recognize friends or family members. That's a 0.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I know who they are. Even when I would like to forget. I know who they are.
Number 9, some people find, I also put 0. Some people find that they have no memory for some important events in their lives. For example, a wedding or graduation.
Go with 30% here.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember most of my childhood. I don't remember most of high school. And I definitely forget, like, large chunks. Like, I might know what happened, but I don't remember.
But say, like, for important events, like keystone moments.
It does say important events. What important moments have I had? I mean, that sounds like really self-deprecating or whatever. But, I mean
getting out of rehab. I don't know.
That's not important.
Is that like a graduation from rehab? Is that like a thing?
Actually, the drug court graduation. So you're still on probation, right? But they do this event, and they'll like honor people who did. They're like, you were extra good, little sober man. And
you're really good at being sober.
And like the judge leads the event, right? So you're still on probation for another week or whatever, you know. But you're like unofficially free, and you have to go up on stage and like get like a piece of paperwork and some like congratulation thing from the judge, right?
Yeah.
So like no one I knew was there. I went by myself, and everybody does their thing, and they're like doing like literal AA prayer and all this dumb shit, right? I get called. I walk up. I thank the judge. She was actually, she's a good person. She actually cares about what she does and people in general. She's a really nice lady, which is not something most people in her position are. So, like, you know, I get my paperwork and I walk straight the fuck out in the middle of it.
That sounds exactly like a Steven move.
Yeah. It's like, I got my shit, I'm gone. And I'm sure a lot of people didn't take that lightly, but and it's in a facility that is an inpatient thing. Like, if you do something wrong, they can just lock you up right then and there. So I was like, I got my paperwork, and I just dipped for the first door. Yeah. But I don't got any important events. I'll get 10%.
10%? That's fair. I put 0. I definitely have memory issues from, like, days of, you know, growing up or whatever, but a lot of that was also like we just smoked a ton of weed.
Yeah.
And I definitely remember important shit.
I just don't, not a lot of important, like, you know, there's literally graduations in other people's weddings. I don't go to things.
Either of those.
Yeah.
Some people have the experience of being accused of lying when you do not think that they have lied. select the number, show a percentage. I've definitely been gaslit before.
Sure, but I would imagine you're such an honest person. I would imagine of the percentage of your time, it's
it's
maybe not 0, but
I'm still gonna say 0 because I definitely don't get that much. The only time I ever got that was from one person in particular that was intentionally trying to gaslight me.
Sure.
So
yeah, I'm gonna go 0 on that as well. You know, definitely been accused of things, but we both live very honestly. I will tell the truth even when it's not in my advantage.
Yeah, you do.
So, some people have the experience of looking in a mirror and not recognizing themselves.
No.
See,
I've been like high and gotten that a little bit.
We are ruining this test.
Like, I'm not going to count it because it's definitely, I recognize that the
Do you get that ever? There. Like, I understand it might not be enough to get a 10%, but do you ever, like,
no.
Not a dysmorphia necessarily, but the feeling of, like, this isn't you?
No, the closest I've gotten to that is,
Never?
like, shaving off my beard and being, like, surprised when I see it in the mirror or when it's not there. But no, that's
the closest you felt that?
Yeah.
All right, this is a legitimate. I'll put myself out there a little bit. Do you ever feel like you're in the wrong body? Not necessarily wrong sex orientation, but like this is not your body.
A little bit. I feel like it definitely in my head more when I was a little bit younger, but I would think that I was more in shape than I had a better, more positive body view than I do now.
And then you see like a different angle or on a
and you're like,
day, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Dude,
But no, nothing like it was like, I'm not in the right in setting or anything.
I mean, even, tattoos, body modification. I mean, when I think of how I felt when I was like 13, I know I always felt that way because I wasn't seeing the version of myself I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep slowly getting closer to it. But like I was definitely confused about sexuality and stuff at younger ages too. Mm-hmm. And like would try different shit. And I've definitely like spent a lot of time trying to figure out if I was seeing the reflection I was supposed to be seeing or how to see a version of myself I wanted to see.
Right.
But I still have days where I don't feel like I'm looking at myself. And some of that might just be more mental too, like extreme depression where it's like you might be seeing yourself for who you are, but you don't feel that is you. Kind of thing too. I feel this one.
I understand somewhat of what I guess the mental process of that. You mentioned the sexual orientation and stuff like that. When I was growing up, like I started going to SEPA in the 4th grade. So like, which is it's an art school. It was there was a lot of I guess not a lot. There were more openly gay people than I was ever around before.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, being young and, being confronted with that makes, I think it definitely led me into the path line of thinking, like, and being an empathic kind of person as well, or a more empathetic person as well, made me start to think like, oh, I wonder if this is me. Am I, number one, am I gay? Is that a thing? And like, no. It's like, and then finding out like what trans is and like, not a weird thing, but like such a strange thing from like my concept of like how life is, and looking at it from that perspective, I'm not sure if that's a thing that like most people go through, of like that questioning of like, I like so. How is it, like, is that a thing? You hear options and you want to weigh your options.
It's curious. Yeah. Like I will even go so far as to say, to some extent, I feel like I've always felt it, but there's part of me at some times that would like to be in a different body or to feel what it's like to be a woman. Like I feel like ideally our bodies could change shapes, that you wouldn't always be locked into a linear experience.
I get that, actually. I understand that.
You know, to me, that is like one of the hardest things to explain, especially to other fucking guys, because it sounds weird, but I don't know. I feel like
gender's not real. It's all constructs.
Sexuality's a spectrum, and gender. All right, here's what gender I think is very real, and that's where I think sometimes in messaging that is intended with good purposes and acceptance often loses the plot, because gender is very real, but we also get to choose what it means to us and how it is expressed.
Gendering things and activities and shit is fucking goofy.
That's nonsense. Yeah. All right. Mirror world. I just like the mirror world. Okay. Number 12. Holy shit. I'm enjoying these.
Yeah, this
I'm
is
okay
fun.
Going slow. Okay. Some people have the experience of feeling that other people, objects, and the world around them are not real. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna have to say, I have to only say 10%, because I experienced that, and it was very strong, but it was very short. I mean, not short in the way that, it's typically short. It was still several months, but it was like, I definitely wouldn't say that it's a thing it's never come back up again. And it's definitely, if I were to like take the past 10 years of my life and take the amount of times that I felt that, it would be less than 10%.
See, I do have to, I agree on a lot of these, like if you compress the actual literal time, but I think in some sense, I'm starting to think this almost has to be treated almost like a half percentage and half a 1 to 10, because some of these things, there's no way it could actually be as high of a percent of our life, but to put it as a 0 or, you know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like maybe we're just overthinking
in that
it,
case, I would only bump it up to 20.
Okay. I just think the time part, I don't understand. It shouldn't be so limited to never and always 0 and 100. I feel this every fucking morning, for sure. When I say it doesn't matter or nothing matters, like not necessarily an argument, but a conversation with someone, it's normally like not a great conversation. But I feel like when I say that, I really mean it. And when I say it, it's normally not good. I definitely feel this significantly.
Yeah, I guess I feel like when I, in the perspective, when I say things like nothing mattered, it doesn't matter, it's more in the way that like it's gonna, I'm either gonna forget about it or we're gonna die before, and it's more of a doomer kind of point of view. But
well, I mean, like after like Ukraine, right? Like I was saying earlier, like it is, of course people care that innocent people in a country thousands of miles away are dying, right? But the reality is like they don't fucking care. Like they care, but they don't. Like it's a false outrage. And part of me can feel so empathetic, and I know if it was affecting someone I love directly, like I don't think, or if I felt like I could change, there's probably nothing I wouldn't do. But at the same time, on a day to day, like I don't care.
You still got,
and
you
I know,
wake up and you go to work and you do your thing.
Yeah, and I might not.
You still got to make dinner that night.
Yeah, it's still got to take the bus to work.
Still got to take the bus to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel just nothing's real a lot. I have to work to not feel
so
that
what
way.
percentage are you putting for that?
My instincts say 30, but I feel like 20 is more honest. 20,
That's what I put too.
Yeah.
Number 13. Some people have the experience of feeling that their body does not seem to belong to them.
I don't get that.
Well, I think it's different from some of the other ones from like, in the way that it's, I don't know. I feel like that's a very specific difference of it's not yours.
Here's a question. The reaction I had to that one is, even if I don't want my body to be the way it is, or I feel weird sometimes, I still always feel a fierce ownership of my body.
Okay, yeah.
Like I
I understand that. Yeah. I feel that. I agree.
It's still, even if I'm dissatisfied, it is mine to be dissatisfied with. There's never a feeling of someone else inhabiting me, or that I don't have ownership of.
Maybe your body's not a temple. Maybe your body's a dumpster, but it's your dumpster.
Exactly. It's my little Muppet.
Number 14. Some people have the experience of sometimes remembering a past event so vividly that they feel as if they were reliving that event. I definitely have had that. I mean, that's kind of what deja vu is, right? In a way.
Yeah.
It's one of the theories of what deja vu is.
To me, I mean, that's more... For me, I see the comparison, but that's a definite PTSD question for sure. That's what they say.
Oh, yeah, okay.
PTSD flashbacks are, you're reliving that moment. I used to. I don't feel that way anymore. I used to have a lot of things I would be forced to, that would come up a lot. I don't feel that way anymore.
Yeah, I'm trying to, like, usually when I read this question, I was thinking of, like, I feel this way sometimes with, like, good memories.
That's sweet.
The closest I have to that in a negative way is, like, like when you're laying in bed and you think about that thing that you said to somebody that makes you cringe, like 10 years ago or something.
Yeah. No, but when all right, so for me, even the memories that come to mind that for a long time were like post-traumatic event type shit, where it would come back and I would have to like re-experience it from time to time. Maybe for a long time that was super vivid, and I felt I was at that place from the first person. But over time, those memories, as well as any of the benign ones, they've become fuzzier and fuzzier, and they shift to the third person. They're no longer like I am that person living it. It's like you're watching it from a blurry lens.
Yeah, I feel that too.
Yeah. That's where I'm at. Like I still might be able to re-experience, but it's not the same. It's not reliving.
That's just having memories.
Yeah,
I was even gonna say, like, I was thinking of like I remember like the smell of the zoo. Like that's such a vivid, memory for me. Like I can recall that smell. And then I realized, like, no, that's just a memory. I'm not reliving it.
Well, we've talked about smell. There's a little bit of smell specifically that triggers a fiercer level
the
of
olfactory
memory.
response is one of the main, or one of the bigger triggers of that. So I'm going to say 0.
Yeah, I'll rock with that too.
Number 15. Some people have the experience of not being sure whether things that they remember happening really did happen or whether they just dreamed them.
I've gone through that a bit, and I remember having that happen this week with something that I still don't know if it was real or not, but I can't say I've gone through it enough to be 10%. So I'll go 0.
Yeah. I've definitely had things where talking to someone, and it's mostly because we have, like, you and I have similar conversations, like where we have a conversation, and then, like, while doing prep, my boss will ask me about it. So, like, telling him about it, and then sometimes I'll think of things that, like, I can't remember if I talked to him about it or I talked to you about it.
Right.
And shit like that comes up where it's like, I don't remember if did we talk about this already? Like, but I don't, it's definitely not the same thing of things happening in dreams.
Yeah. Yeah, not quite the same level of like, not knowing if you've experienced it at all before or not.
But that's the closest I can go on that.
Yeah,
I'm going 0 on that too.
Yeah. Okay. 16. Some people have the experience of being in a familiar place, but finding it strange and unfamiliar. I get that hard. Solid 20% of the places I go. A lot of it's because I've been there before and don't remember. I mean, I've been in the same city all my life.
I find the opposite, where I could be in a new place, but I find many parts of it familiar. And that might be trippy. Just your brain trying to make sense of what's going on.
Yeah.
I've definitely been in places where I've been able to look around, and like every time I go to Cincinnati, I'll go to if I go to like especially like the Kroger up on fucking Delhi Road, which is where we used to shop when I lived there. Mm-hmm. I feel like I recognize people. I feel like I see people, and it's the same people that are always in that fucking Kroger every time I go. And I think there's more of like and it's the same thing like going to Florida, and like the people there, there's just like a vibe of people. I don't know that I feel like I'm very, like I definitely know these people, or I've seen these people before kind of thing.
I think in, like a Cincinnati grocery store, you go there for 10 years of your life without being able to remember, most of the people. There's going to be a handful of people you have seen before.
I always expect like I'm going to turn around and there's going to be someone I went to school with or something. Like there's definitely that feeling of, I mean, that's probably more realistic to you.
And that's when it's extra weird when I don't remember who they are. Like that is strange. Like I saw a chick yesterday. It was yesterday, the day before. I was driving on Glenway. I saw a chick at a bus stop, and I was like, I have spent time with her. Like, not like hooked up or anything, but I've been in the same environment as her, and I have spent time talking to her. I have no idea where. I have no idea what her name is. I have to assume it was something, sketchier environment, but I have no idea. Could have been anywhere.
I want to pause for a minute, not like pause the podcast, but like pause the conversation on this thing for a minute. The term chick, I've more often than not gotten bad reception from women about that, and it's not. Sure. I didn't realize that it was a thing that was like, because I guess the way I always saw it growing up was like dudes and chicks, or it's like saying dude in a way. But I've gotten really negative response from that in a way that I tried not to say it anymore at all.
Okay.
And it's the situation where someone like called me out on like saying it, I was like, I didn't realize it was a negative term. I guess if I can see where if you look back at like the history use and like, like dames and birds and broads or whatever, like there's all, these like all these shitty, nicknames. And I get that. I've never heard it that way. I've never heard it used in like, in a way that was, it used as an insult. Way. Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. All right. Someone will always be offended by something. And the people that are the most offended by something that is clearly not to be offensive are, I mean, some people are with it, I'm sure, but they're always the loudest voice, too. So I that's one I don't give a fuck. I mean, I will say I'm not going to refer to any woman in real life by any term. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to use
Right.
their name. I am bad at names. That might be like you a lot, but I'm not going to necessarily call a woman I know a chick, but if I'm referring...
I realized I only stop on it because a couple of weeks ago I was talking to somebody about a coworker, and I was talking to a coworker about another coworker. The coworker we were talking about is someone I've known for a very long time, really good friends with, and we were talking about how, you know, they're a really cool person, and in the conversation, the coworker was saying, you know, about something cool they did or something they did, and I said, yeah, they're a really cool chick. And I caught myself saying it, and I realized I hadn't said that word in a long time because of the negative responses I've heard from it. And it made me think it over, like, oh no, did she just hear me say that and then think I was talking shit or something like that? Like, I don't know. Like, they definitely know I wasn't talking shit because they know how much I, you know, look up to, or how much I appreciate this person, you know.
But a bunch of people feel that way about dude, even. So here's the thing is, like, we're like 30 now. So prior, like the last 10 years, let's say during our 20s, if we saw a woman, we're not going to call them a woman, right? Because that seems like they're a lot older than us. Like in your teens and 20s, you're not thinking of a female peer as a woman, right? Because a woman is someone as a kid that is older than you, right? You're not going to call them a girl because that sounds like they're younger than you. So it's like one of the few terms for a woman that is in your peer age.
I call women in our age group women.
I do now.
I acknowledge that it somewhat does feel unnatural. And not, you know, only in the way that it's like you described, is like it kind of feels like they're older.
It's like it feels like a proper thing you call someone who's older than you. Yeah.
And same way with, like, I don't know, I think I said it about myself, something about, we were moving something heavy and I was like, oh, I'm a strapping young man, I can handle it. And I realized, like, I'm not really a young man anymore. I'm a man. I'm just a man.
It's all perspective. To be super clear, I know both of us are very happy to call people whatever they prefer to be called. But I understand why it's something worth taking note of, because it is a tricky thing, especially now, to know what to call people that you don't know. Also, for the record, I'm down with the idea of dude being a gender neutral term, because as we know from Good Burger, I'm a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes. Hey. We're all dudes. Hey, real quick, that's an excellent moment to pause. My cat woke up, and I am going to put her away because I can tell. Grisha's being a terrorist again. It's starting. She is. My cat's licking my toes. Let us know in the comments on Instagram if your cat also likes feet. When I first got my cat, I had a hamstring issue and a rotation in my pelvis that made it difficult for me to bend over for a little while. So I would pet my cat with my foot when she was very young. And now she rolls over on her back when I get home or just anytime because she wants me to rub her with my foot. If I get down and start to pet her with my hand, she lets me do it for a minute, but she will quickly get up and want regular pets with my hand. But she always wants me to pet her with my foot on her belly, or sometimes I put my foot underneath her when she's laying down and, like, kind of flip her like a pancake. Yeah, fun cat interactions. Steven might leave this in. I don't know. It's been a fun monologue. I monologued for a bit. You're welcome to take it out or leave it in. Cool. I talked about my cat and how she likes feet. Dope. I like feet. Don't we all? Who doesn't like feet? I feel like a lot of people hate on it. Well, here's the thing. It's not... So I like feet in a way that, you know... Like, who doesn't like
Yeah, who doesn't like
Sexually.
sucking on some toes? Who doesn't like getting their toes sucked on? Right? I'm not big on like looking at feet.
Yeah, the weirdos who like buy feet pics, that's
wild.
weird.
The whole like
But
search, like when you go to like search up a celebrity's name and one of the things that comes up on the auto is feet, like that's weird to a degree. That's like, you know.
But to be clear, I want that Hunter Biden treatment. I want to smoke crack and get a foot job. I mean, that's where it's at.
That's another one. The foot job thing, that doesn't do anything for me.
Come on.
That's what? Like a hand job, but like worse. It's like they don't know what the fuck they're doing. It's uncoordinated. They gotta practice.
We're gonna smoke some crack and get you a foot job.
Get me a foot job expert. I don't want no never done a foot job. Makes it uncomfortable. I want someone that knows what they're doing.
The clumsy job's good too.
I want a girl. Find me if we're gonna smoke crack and and find a pro that's got a huge body count with her feet.
I'm with it. Number 17, coming in hot. Some people find that when they are watching television or a movie that they're so absorbed in the story that they are unaware of events happening around them.
Oh, I was going to say no, but I recall that this is definitely a thing where less often now, I think, but definitely when I was growing up and you ever watching something, or I think it's more accurate to say that you've seen someone doing it or to understand what it is, like called out to someone and they're watching TV and they don't respond. And you're like, yo, like I'm fucking talking to you.
Yeah. Back from La La Land.
I feel like this definitely happens less often now. I've watched my dad do it. I've definitely, not very often, but I see him do it. And I know that I've done it because it's sitting on the couch next to my dad and been in the same stupor when my mom's like, hey, I'm like, oh, what's up?
Yeah. My deal with it is if I'm watching something, I get that zoned into it, but I'm very hyper aware of any interruptions. Yeah. And I 100% don't give a fuck about anything happening except what I'm watching. Like I'm very hyper focused on like art, film, or just interesting conversation, podcast stuff. So if someone talks, I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm listening.
Now I get that, but I also will do like scrolling on my phone, reading something while watching a thing.
Oh yeah,
I distract myself with shit like that.
But you're choosing, and can you keep the focus?
Sometimes I'll have to like rewind and watch back a thing if I look up and like the bunch of shit's going on and I don't recognize what the fuck, like why we're suddenly here in the story. But yeah, it's mostly I can keep up.
We were playing Halo the other night, and I had the 2 pairs of headphones on.
Editing the podcast and playing Halo.
I can focus pretty good. I'm getting better at it.
I'll say 10% because I'm sure I do it more often than I actually realize because there's not someone around now telling me, are you calling me on it?
No, I'm with it. 10% for me too.
18. Some people find that they become so involved in a fantasy or daydream that it feels as though it were really happening to them. I don't know. The closest I think I could come to this is like shower arguments. You've been in the shower, been, in your car, and you're like laying out, a back and forth dialogue between you and somebody or.
Yeah. I indulge in high fantasy. My thing is I know it's never the same level as the real thing. So if I'm that involved in that thought, I will seek it out. And you know what I mean? Where sometimes I can get there with my fantasy or mind shit, but most of the time I'll think about something for a long time. It's like, no, I need to go do that or try this out or whatever. It doesn't. I can't just stay in the
thought,
in the daydream. Yeah.
Mm,
Go 10.
I think I'm gonna stay 0 because I don't.
Yeah, I'll go 0 too.
Yeah, I don't want to force it. I don't feel like I'd experience that.
Okay.
Number 19. Some people find that they sometimes are able to ignore pain. That one, I definitely have.
What's your threshold level? If you're gonna be lashed or sliced open 100 times, how many times can you ignore, tolerate, or bear?
I think the first several times is going to be the worst. After that, it's familiar at that point, right? Like,
I don't think that's the factor, though, because we're not talking consecutive.
Right.
Yes, I put it in that analogy, but all the times in your life you felt a pain, how many times out of 10 can you ignore it? And there's nothing wrong with feeling pain.
I mean, honestly, I feel like 60.
Yeah. I think that's very fair.
I kind of feel like I want to say more, but I mean, because there's like the other day I was working with a kidney stone, and it's not that I didn't feel it. It's just that what am I going to do about it? I'm functioning. It's not like I've had them in the past where I was like fever dreaming, and I mean I've worked through those too, where I was like in and out of somewhat of a consciousness and doing it. But
yeah,
I don't think it's fair to say, like, I feel like it's 80.
I'm putting 90 for mine because I do feel a little split because there is part of it where I think you can feel but still tolerate or accept. Ignore is a little different, but I feel like if I choose to, I can ignore.
Yeah, it ignores. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna bump mine up because it ignores what I'm trying to think in my head is like how much can I tolerate, but ignoring is different. You're like you said, you're still feeling it. You're just choosing not to deal with it.
Yeah. I find this especially interesting because I was looking up some stuff about, and we discussed potentially doing an episode about it down the line of the role of mental scarification, physical pain in our lives, and how it makes us who we are or changes who we are. And there were some really interesting case studies of children born with genetic abnormalities where their neural pathways were damaged or altered or whatever, and their pain signals weren't sent to the brain properly, and they interpreted pain differently, and they found often that these kids would die as toddlers or very young because without the role of feeling pain, you were accident prone. There often were other medical complications, but there's all these factors of pain informing who you become. If you felt nothing, no pain, only pleasure, whatever, you probably tend to grow very reckless. I pride myself in ignoring pain.
So I'm going to put mine at 70. I was thinking 80, but I think 70 is more accurate because I'm thinking on a day-to-day basis. I may still like function and like work around it and not let it like stuff like that bother me, but I still like when I had the back spasms and shit, like it's hard to ignore that. But when I got to a point where I could, more or less, I would still be cautious. So I can't say that I was ignoring it. I was being protective.
I understand. I see both sides of this. I feel like ignore or tolerate. could change his answer so much, because maybe if it was tolerate, I could put 90, but if it's ignore, maybe I should put lower. But I also see, depending on how you interpret those words, it could be reversed. I'm just gonna go with my gut and say 90, but I feel like this could be different depending on wording.
Number 20. Some people find that they sometimes sit staring off into space, thinking of nothing, and are not aware of the passage of time.
Yeah. Solid 10 over here, dog. Spent 10% of my life looking at walls.
I'm stuck between 0 and 10.
I am too. If there was another choice, I would say like 3 to 5.
I'll go 10. So
you go 10. I'll do 0 because I feel like I can't justify 10, and I went a little high on the last.
I feel like I get like I put on media and stuff often in the background, but I'm not. It's not even so much that I'm paying attention to it. I'm zoning in and out of it, so I can't even say that I'm focused on a thing.
See, that's why I changed my answer, because I can't not have something going anymore. I can, but I choose not to. So I really don't have time where I just stare at walls without focusing on something else anymore. Hit that 10.
I went
to 10. Get that 10 bag.
All right. 21. Some people sometimes find that when they are alone, they talk out loud to themselves. I do not do that. And I learned that. I learned that when I got a cat. Because there was time when I would just be, and even still, there's times when I'm silent. And I realized that it sounded so crazy to be talking out loud when I was by myself with my cat when I first got her. And then, like, that part's going away now. I definitely talk to my cat. But even, like, when I'm petting her, like, you know, it's good to talk to your cat while you're petting them. They like that. Yeah. So I have to remind myself often to do that, because sometimes I'm just petting her nonchalantly. And
now, what about like expression? Like if you're by yourself working and something gets fucked up, do you like go fuck? Like do you narrate at all to yourself? A little bit, yes. Loud?
There are definitely times when I'm in like high concentration mode and I'm like going back and forth between lists. Sometimes I'll say shit to myself like, "Oh, Rich, you big stupid idiot," or
I don't like when you say that one.
Yeah, that's
it's a bad habit. I know it's a joke, but it's
did
a bad habit.
I tell you that someone, my coworker, called me out on that too?
Good.
That was my first time like working with her exclusively, and it was just us. And I forget, it wasn't even something that stupid. It was like, that's why it's funny to me, because it was like a very easily fixed problem. I do it because my dad did it. And still does it growing up. And it's somewhat of it's self-deprecating, but it's like, I don't know. And he might have a different response to this too. I'll text him after this and I'll ask him. But like, for me, it's like, I definitely don't doubt my intelligence in any way. If anything, I do believe I'm a very, intelligent individual, as I stutter and can't say the word intelligent.
You're capable.
But I guess I don't know. It's just a goofy thing that I say while I fix the problem I did, or the mistake I made.
I do think part of it's a little different, because when he may do it, because I think part of it, I think you feel it's the same, but I think part of it is if a father does it, it's a way of making a joke and also kind of being like, hey, don't take everything too seriously. Like there's this other element, and I think maybe you still feel the same, but it may not.
The way I always saw it was like you're blowing it out of proportion on purpose. Yeah,
a little satire. Like, I'm such a stupid piece of shit for fucking up the cheese slices. God damn.
That's another like, kind of an inside joke is like shit, piss, fuck, damn. Like when you know something doesn't go the way. Yeah, it's like it's just
minor.
It's whatever. We can try again, and it's just like you said, blow it out of proportion to put it in perspective.
Yeah, I like to say whenever I get in a Halo lobby, like, fuck it, we're going to kill all these families, and no one thinks it's funny. But part of me always feels that, too. And
then we get upset when we get teabagged.
I understand.
It's just so dude, disrespectful.
That really does make me want to kill their families. It's so disrespectful.
Oh, god damn it. Yeah, I'm gonna put 0.
I'm hitting 10 because, like, I was watching something we may also discuss in the future, the Warhol documentary that just came out, and I don't think I do it 10% of my life, but I very often am like expressing frustration, anger, humor through.
Is it when you're alone though,
or like mumbling to myself? Yes. Like Sarah was there, but I think it would be this mostly the same. But I'll like, look at this stupid piece of shit, this fucking liar. Like I'll like kind of work myself up.
I definitely don't do that when I'm alone. Even like you stupid idiot. Like I might like say it in my head, but like not out loud.
See, this is one I need a 5% toggle because it's not 10%.
I accept 10% as between 0 and 10.
That's all right. I'll go 10, and if I'm on the fence with something else, I'll drop 1.
I don't think it works exactly that way because there's 3 different scales that it's grading, but I'll accept it.
Now, those scales for the answers, the only number that matters necessarily is the total. But like kind of like those magazine quizzes, it'll be like this tier will be like X answers for X, Y, Z, or number 1, 7, 10 go towards this subscale. That can give you a little more insight on a specific aspect. Like so, the main thing is the overall total. Some people find that in one situation they may act so differently compared with another situation that they feel as if they are almost 2 different people.
I get that. A little bit. I mean, so think about like, fuck was it? It wasn't last week, but it was a couple weeks ago. We were talking about the
Shadow
realm shit, and like if like you were pointing out in me something about like how while being empathetic, I still have very negative views on most of humanity.
Yes.
I'm I don't have a lot of faith in humanity, but also I'm willing to go out of my way and do, be the change I want to see kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't fully understand. I've been getting closer at understanding this part. I don't fully understand it yet. I feel like it's one of those like, do as I say, not as I do. Yeah.
Or, but it's the opposite is where like I don't know. I feel like there's a
work you and a social you.
Yeah, there's definitely a duality of the way I see it, but I don't feel like it's opposite. I don't feel like it's like 2 different people. I don't feel like it's.
I agree. It's still you. Yeah. It's just different facets of you.
Yeah.
So what would you go with?
I would say I act the same in different situations. The only difference would be like in interpersonal things where it's like it's based on the individual in question that I'm in a situation with. Okay. So I'm gonna say 0.
Yeah, I thought about it a bit because I used to be more separated. Out of necessity to hide parts of my life to operate in the shadow realm. But I am a unified person. There is not enough room in this brain for multiple personalities. I am unified and fuck all the other multiverse versions of me. It is all me. I am.
There's only room for one God in this lab.
Exactly.
And it's not yours.
This town ain't big enough for the both of us. That's what I say to myself every morning.
Have you gotten to that part of Friends yet where Walter says that?
I think so. We haven't watched in a little bit, but I think we're at the start of 4.
It's my favorite Walter quote.
We've been
there's only room for one God in this lab, and it's not yours.
I remember that. We've been peppering them in. It's been slow, but we've been enjoying it still. We got to the third different parallel dimension, I believe.
Okay.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
What's next?
Let's see. Some people sometimes find in certain situations they are able to do things with amazing ease and spontaneity that would usually be difficult for them. For example, sports, work, social situations, etc.
I don't really understand this.
They find that in certain situations they are able to do things with amazing ease and spontaneity. I somewhat relate to that because, especially the spontaneity part, I feel like that's more of a social, what's the word? Like a social anxiety where I don't want to do certain things because it seems like a really shitty and dreadful thing that I don't want to put myself through. And then finding myself, doing it anyways, and then realizing, okay, that wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Now, see, that's what when I heard this, to me, it's just like a question of confidence. But part of the question is, with amazing ease and spontaneity, that would usually be difficult. So most of the time it's difficult, and then sometimes it randomly comes very easily. I can't relate to that. It's either I know I'm good at it, I'm confident, or I know I'm not, but I still can do it, but I have to work for it. It's never like randomly easy.
All right, yeah. In that respect, I can, same. I don't get that. I like how a lot of these were like talking through, and I think that's part of it is like talking through it, figuring out like what it means, and then it's like, oh no, never mind, 0. There's so many we spent so much time talking about, and then it's like, oh, never mind, 0.
To me, I don't fully understand at what that question's getting at, unless their angle is that sometimes you're dissociated enough that depending on when you're more yourself or less yourself, maybe that thing comes more easily because you're more or less dissociated. Yeah. I could see that, I guess, but it seems like one of the poorer questions.
Yeah, it's just not phrased really well.
Yeah.
Number 24.
Only a couple more.
Some people sometimes find that they cannot remember whether they have done something or have just thought about doing that thing. For example, not knowing whether they just mailed a letter or they just thought about mailing it. I've definitely had some of that. Not as specific as mailing a letter or thought I mailed it. I feel like that's an excuse that people use.
Yeah.
I've definitely thought I've sent text messages before, but that's like very few in between where like I'm thinking about a thing, I like a response for it, and I type it out, and then I get distracted.
Yeah, it happens. I'm familiar with it. If I'm on drugs, it happens more often, but I can't say it's a significant enough percentage to hit a 10 even, so I'm going 0.
Mailing a letter is one of those, like, that's an event. You gotta
takes effort these days.
You gotta write on an envelope and put a fucking stamp on it.
I have to call my mom and ask her how many stamps to put on. So
it's always one. It's always just one. If it's a package, you go to the post office.
I fucking hate letters so much.
Or get stamps.com.
Yeah, once
they sponsor us.
I give people letters, but you will never receive a letter in the mail from me.
You put the stamp on it and give it to them?
Mail boy, run this to Detroit. I'll give you a whole roll of stamps.
Here's $6.50.
Sprint away, little mailman.
My courier.
Mailman.
God damn it. I guess
0. We're not idiots. We know when we deliver mail.
Yeah, 0. I feel like I get that for like momentary things, but I think if I think about it, I recognize that I didn't do it or whatever.
We're not idiots. evidence. Some people find evidence that they have done things that they cannot remember doing. Isn't that the same fucking question?
No.
Is this a trick? They're like, do you remember the last question? No, literally, number 24. Some people sometimes find that they cannot remember things they have done. 25. Some people find evidence.
Can't remember. No, that's different because they're saying you can't remember if they've done something or they just thought about doing it, which is different than they find evidence that they did things that they don't remember doing.
It's just a level of severity. They could have found another way to inform that. I mean, I used to find evidence of my shadow self doing all kinds of things, but I don't know.
I'm zero on this
zero.
one.
I used to be higher. It'll go zero. Number 26, some people find writings, drawings, or notes among their belongings that they must have done but cannot remember doing. I actually do get that one a bit. I'll hit a solid 10er. I find shit all the time of art or writing.
I don't. Zero.
I had a fun habit of, especially when I was getting high, that I'd hide things for myself to find. And I would have like different timetables of when I would want to find them.
Number 27. Some people sometimes find that they hear voices inside their head that tell them to do things or comment on things that they are doing. Now this one I struggled with for a minute because I wasn't sure if I was hearing voices or it was just my inner monologue.
We've discussed this at length. I
definitely don't think I hear voices. I just know that for a time, especially upon learning about schizophrenia and shit like that when I was younger, I couldn't tell the difference between that and my inner monologue.
I will put it this way. I do not naturally hear any voices with art stuff. We've talked about this a little bit. There are times I can mentally get myself to a place where I deceive myself, but I do know for a fact if you have to question if you've heard voices, it's not the same, because I've been in psychotic states where I have heard things, like not like my natural brain, and that it's such a different thing. It is a black and white if you do or don't. I have to say zero, even though I have heard things.
Number 28.
Last one. This gonna be, our scores are gonna be interesting.
Some people sometimes feel as if they are looking at the world through a fog, so that people and objects appear far away and unclear. Like you're in Silent Hill. No.
I can't imagine feeling that way, dude. I think every podcast for the last 2 months I've talked about how much I've felt this. Like if I'd listened through our last 8 episodes, 4 episodes, whatever, I bet I've mentioned feeling far away from people every episode. I always feel this. Don't you?
That the world, you see the world through a fog?
Yeah, they're saying as if you're looking through, like that people and objects are far away, unclear, fuzzy. It's not like that's the analogy is the fog, but it's more like you feel the distance, that you're dissociated a bit.
So you say you always feel this?
At least 40% of my life.
Well, there you go.
At least. I mean, it's
give yourself a 40%, dog.
40. All right. Drum roll, please. All right, we're gonna click calculate, and then before we give the score, we're gonna kind of go over what the score means. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So, the scale scores explained. High and low DES scores. High levels of dissociation are indicated by scores of 30 or more. Scores under 30 indicate low levels. Successful treatment of 22. Successful treatment of a dissociative disorder should reduce the DES score when compared to the result of before the treatment began. These numbers aren't relevant. So ignore the 22. Very high scores do not necessarily mean a more severe dissociative disorder is present. This is because the scale measures both normal and pathological dissociation. Only 1% of people with dissociative identity disorder have been found to have a DES score below 30. A very high number of people who score above 30 have been shown to have post-traumatic stress disorder or dissociative disorder other than dissociative identity disorder. If a person scores in the high range above 30, then the DES questions can be used as a basis for a clinical interview with the clinician. Is that the right way to pronounce that?
Yeah.
Clinician. Asking the client to describe examples of the experience that they've had for any questions about experiences which occur 20% of the time or more. Alternatively, the dissociative disorders interview schedule or structured clinical interview for dissociative disorders can be used to reach a diagnosis.
Okay, so basically 30, anything over 30 is extremely high.
Right.
Or pretty high. Anything under could be considered normal, which would mean, and it says only 1% of people with dissociative identity disorder are below 30. So really 30 is the magic number, and then there's some average scores of people with other conditions, and it gives the number. So I'm starting to think, I'm wondering for myself if previously I would have scored very high, and now, which would make a lot of sense that I'm in a more normal range, or if I answered very conservatively. What is your total?
My total is 5.
I'm 11.7.
Okay. So
it's low. We're within normal ranges.
Yeah, we're within the normal range here.
That makes sense though, because as dissociative as I feel, it's still quite a bit away from disorder levels, which I think is accurate.
Yeah, according to the average DES scores in research, I am on the level of, this isn't like a level thing. It's just people with these disorders
score on
average this thing. Okay. So I'm still 5%, puts me in the league of the general adult population.
And I am on the average of people with anxiety disorders.
That tracks.
It does. I wish they had depression, but I feel like probably for this, depression and anxiety are close to interchangeable, because I don't identify with anxiety the same way. Interesting. Yeah. I feel like it's kind of reaffirming, because I felt going into this, I was going to score. I thought I'd score higher than you, but I thought I would score slightly above normal range, and there really isn't a marker for that, but I did think I would be within, or I didn't think it would be like disorder levels. And I'm
right.
As we were doing it, I started feeling like, oh shit, I think I'm getting up higher than I thought I would. But the end result is about in line with how I felt initially. I feel like it's pretty expected. Fair. Yeah, pretty fair.
Yeah, mine's kind of what I expected it to be. I didn't expect much of especially with the dissociative part of it. I don't really, feel like that's much of an effect, other than some of the, like I said, the pain thing. But I feel like that's more comes from, I don't know, like me putting my, the shit that I'm doing before the shit that I'm doing, or the shit that I want to do before the acknowledgement of something that's hindering me.
Oh shit. Sorry, I have a question to ask you. Yep. I did read this wrong. So to put this in perspective, out of the range, 30 is dissociative disorder levels. That's kind of the below is when you get into dissociative disorders. Below is non. But 5 tends to be where the general population falls. People with anxiety disorders tend to hit 7. People with affective disorders tend to hit around 9. Eating disorders, 15. Late adolescence is 16.6.
That's wild.
That is very telling.
Yeah.
Because that is higher than schizophrenia at 15.4.
Yeah.
The level of dissociation in late adolescence is higher than the average answerer that has schizophrenia. That is interesting. And my score was 11, and I gave anxiety. I'm actually over. I'm in between affective disorders and eating disorders. Affective disorders is at 9.35, and I was 11.7.
Now, here's an interesting thing I'd like to posit. I mean, it's unanswerable unless there's, more research on this, but I don't think that there is. That late adolescence score, I wonder how different that would be, 30, 40, 50 years ago.
I would imagine lower.
Yeah.
Maybe not by an extreme, because my guess is it's slightly lower for cultural reasons, but fairly similar because it is such a intense biological process.
Right.
That's a good question. All right, so here, and we have these comparing to other illnesses, I feel like the comparison is really invalid, honestly, because this is just averages of people with those this is not
right. Yeah. It's not saying that if you got in that range that you have these disorders.
It is based off meta-analysis, which is multiple analysis of these studies and conditions, but it doesn't really inform you of where I wish they had fucking depression on there, because I would find that interesting to see where my level of dissociation compares to the average person with depression, if most people with clinical severe depression are similar or not. But
I mean, I feel like, I guess I'm trying to figure out if like dissociation, I'm not sure so much that dissociation plays into depression. I feel like there's some of it, but I think it's different in the way that it's less of a separation from reality more than it is a lack of motivation to care about it.
I kind of logically feel that way, but my emotional experience of it is just as often as I feel despair, I feel complete apathy and separation from the world. I am kind of surprised I wasn't a little higher, because I feel such at loss for being connected to anything. Like, I have to work not to feel that way. And maybe that's a reflection on, like, I'm able to win that battle a lot of the time and feel connection. But it's, for me, a lot of my depression is very dissociative. It's just not like a delusional level of dissociative.
I think so apathy is the lack of care or concern, right? But
lack of anything.
Yeah, the lack of anything. I think the dissociation is more of a subconscious thing. At least it seems that way. Where it's,
you might be right. It just doesn't feel that way.
More, yeah. You maybe like it's more because the fact that you feel the apathy at all means that you recognize that you should care about certain things, or you normally would if you weren't being affected by.
I think it depends on the level. If I'm feeling light apathy, I might feel that. But if I'm there with it, there's no guilt or expectation of what I should feel. It's pure gray. And that does change. It's not, the level is not consistent, but in fluctuation, the higher the apathy, just nothing matters. It's very, I wish I could know more. I like this.
We need an expert.
I feel like maybe where I'm at now, my number is accurate. It makes sense. I think I could see it being different at different times. Now, what I'm curious about yours, because we both thought yours would be low. What was yours, 5?
Yeah.
So, dissociative disorder levels are around 30, when you were going through your DDD experience or Truman Show experience, if you took this test during that time period, do you think you would have hit the 30? Was it at that level?
I don't know about that. I definitely would have answered questions differently.
Because it would be substantially higher, but based on what you've told me, I could see you getting there, potentially, but that does seem like a big jump.
What I can do is I can try to go back and fill in some of these questions.
Do you want to do that super quick while
this is based on memories of me then.
You do that.
From several years ago, so.
You do that. Feel free to chime in, but this is just a random feeling I felt this week. I was driving to some store the other day. It was when I saw the person at the bus stop that I knew but didn't know. Same trip, and it's transportation. Like I was saying with that question we had, I'm just in my head when I drive. It's a little bit less, but I'm just like free mind land. Even when I'm driving a lot of the time. And I was at a red light, right? And there's a lady at the cross thing. And I had just given money to a homeless dude earlier. And he was wearing all Satan clothes. Like pentagrams everywhere, chains on him. Like goth the fuck out, right? And he asked me for 50 cents. And I'm like, yeah, dude, got you. Here's soda money, drug money, whatever, bus money.
Here's 50 cents for drugs.
Yeah, I was like, I don't give a shit. I was going to give him more, but it's like, that's what he asked for. I feel like that's what I should give him kind of thing. And he said, God bless you. God bless you so much. And I was like, I felt so split. I was like, all right, you're either really down on your luck. Those aren't even your clothes, A. B, that's just the line you have got used to saying because that's what works well. Or C, I have no fucking idea. And I was like, all right. And then driving, I see a person I don't remember where from. And then I'm at a red light. This is my, 5 minutes out of my house for the week. I'm at the red light and there's this woman. She's like 45 at the crosswalk. She's at one of the islands waiting to cross to the other side. And, she's 55. She's got a little bit of a gut, right? Not in great health for age, but not terrible, right? She's wearing butterfly leggings, not pants, not like teenage tween level design butterfly leggings. She's got some relatively beat up, but still kind of fresh, Skechers shoes, like she got them this year maybe on a cheap deal, right? Then she's got I think it was a Lion King triple XL shirt over her leggings and her gut. So all her shapes are in this weird tube and then oversized shirt, right? She's got her hair back. She clearly was a lifelong smoker, maybe an alcoholic. She had the skin for it, but she looked like maybe she had a couple years together and was doing okay. She was walking with the mission. She did not look upset. It wasn't one of those people where it's like, this is sad, they are suffering. It was like, she seems content. She has a new Apple Watch, right? So it's more, she's probably lower class, but she's able to get the things she wants. The clothes she's wearing were the things she picked out. These were her choices. She looked content. And my first thought was like, God damn, like she is happy how she is, and that makes me so fucking sad. Like that's worse than the truly pitiful person in despair. Then my second thought is like, fuck, looking at her, she probably had a rough as fuck life. And right now, she might be on top of the world. Like maybe for her, this is fucking awesome. Like she's got some dope shit. She's got some butterfly leggings and her favorite tee. She's chilling, right? Maybe she's doing great. And then it's like, why the fuck am I allowed to feel that way and have that judgment on her? And then one of the later thoughts is like, maybe it is. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I have that feeling. Like seeing someone happy that way still feels so fucking sad. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, it sucks to see someone happy with, like, such base level shitty stuff.
Right.
And it's not a fair judgment. It's only shitty of me, but you still can't help but feel like 50 years of life to be satisfied with an Apple Watch and, like, some teenage girl leggings and like a big gulp soda makes me really fucking sad.
It's I don't know if it's ambition so much that separates that, or your conditioning in life as a whole is, and this is something that I grew up with, knowing that, like, I know my parents were dirt poor when I was, like, born, and they were able to, you know, provide enough that I never wanted really for things other than, like, shit that I definitely didn't need for things. I had my needs covered, you know, my wants were covered. I had, you know, toys. Always had food and shit like that. It was never like a struggle like that. And as I grew up, like, you know, my family came into more money, and, like, we did well, and I had, you know, good surroundings all the time. So I grew to accept that as the norm and only strove for better. And I remember, you know, a clear thing that my dad told me at one point was, like, you know, it was something along the terms of, you know, we always want you to expect better for yourself. You know, we made sure that you had a foundation of, like, what should be the minimum quality of your life. You should always want this, at least, if not more, kind of thing. So when I see, I can understand what you're saying when you say that, like, you see people that have less,
but
and
I have to clarify, because I feel like I sound like an asshole. Because for me, it's an equally, like, she looked like she had some means, right? It's not that she was utterly poor, because, like, an utterly poor homeless person wearing, like, the roughest shit ever would feel more acceptable, or, like, less sad in a way, because it was the fact that she was content with the material things. Like life looked rough, but you had, you know, some fancy leggings and an Apple fucking watch, and life was okay. That's what made me so fucking upset about it. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It does. Because
I can understand the not having shit part, and, like, I don't want shit either. Like, fuck physical shit. But the idea that, like, maybe life could be rough enough that those small things make a person content, then I am happy for that person, but it makes me sad that is enough, or that matters. Is that? I feel like I just sound like an asshole.
I think I understand what you mean more than it comes across in an audio medium.
Probably.
I understand what you mean because I know you more. I think you do somewhat come off as an asshole. But
it's, if you see a homeless person with an Apple Watch and they look happy, that's sad as fuck to me. I guess that's probably a bet. Like, I should.
Yeah, it's like you could have so much more. You could have something different, but the fact that you're placated from that by a thing it's like Gollum shit.
Yes. It's the big gulp soda theorem. If you look happy and you have a big gulp soda, you are fucked. You are seeing Sauron. You are in the Shadowlands of Mordor.
Getting a big gulp soda is a sign of desperation.
Yeah,
it's something you do because you're it's a better value than buying a bottle of a carbonated beverage.
Yeah. And
But
I felt happy for it too, because she made me smile because she was so content. I think she was listening to music or something. She was bopping along. But
yeah, it's nice to see people content. That's for sure. I get that.
But the sad part was she was content. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
It's tricky. Ignore everything I said. All right, what is
that part might be cut anyway.
Yeah, no. What is your score? How'd you do?
So I redid it with my best ability to try to recall. There was some give where I wasn't sure, so I either put 0 or put 10% for certain things. But I answered the best that I possibly could. I got 21.5.
Okay. That sounds like a fair response.
So on the averages, borderline personality disorder is a 19.2 as an average, and for post-traumatic stress disorder was a 31.
And the more definitive is the 30% is kind of the breaking mark. So you might have fallen a little shy of like clinical diagnosing. Maybe not.
Right.
You know what? But you were in that range of like, this is obviously affecting personality, thought process, mental faculties considerably if it's up to 20, you know?
Yeah. The dissociative disorder not otherwise specified on this list is around 36, which so depersonalization, derealization it falls in a similar category as dissociation. They're dissociative disorder,
but it's not the same.
But it's not. Yeah, it's not the same. It's specifically its own thing. They don't have that on this list, but I think it would probably the dissociative depersonalization, derealization disorder probably well falls within the category that they have listed here as dissociative disorder not otherwise specified.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it being a little lower, but in the range. I could see it being as low as 25.
Yeah. So, 21 and a half.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I know we got some cool stuff ahead we're working on. Is there any, like, big thoughts you've had this week? Anything you want to say before getting the fuck out of here?
No, not really. I'm pretty comfy on where we're at.
What are you doing the rest of the night? Chilling.
I'm probably gonna eat something because I haven't done that since like 11 o'clock.
Fuck yeah! I got
and
some
then
just sushi.
Chilling. Yeah. I gotta get some phone numbers together because I gotta call people tomorrow for work, but that's a whole other thing.
My neighbor called me during work yesterday because there's been all these break-ins because our the skep neighbor that had pigs and all the animals next door, they moved out. But I actually liked that neighbor. They had been robbed at gunpoint, like their door kicked in before, but they also were the people that would draw all the heat away from our house. And if anything ever happened, I know they would protect us. So like no one was going to break into our house. They moved and had to lie about their address because like the city like took their house back. It got sketchy. And now the house that they said they lived in, not their actual house, has been broken into twice this week. And then there's been people in their backyard 2 different nights this week because they have like a landfill worth of, like a small dumpster dump worth of shit in their backyard. And they were known in the community for some sketchy shit. So people are trying to get in that house or like see if there are any hidden stashes or whatever. So like there's been a couple nights, one night specifically, but I feel like a couple nights, but people are rummaging back basically in my backyard. And I'm like sitting up in the window like, all right, let's see how I'm going to have to deal with this tonight.
Right.
It's getting a sketch, but there's been like 4 break-ins this week within 4 or 5 houses of us.
God damn.
Yeah. So there's been cops here. It's been like a little sketchy. But it'll pass. Hold down the castle, bro. I'm ready for war out here.
Satan save Price Hill.
Yeah. God, one day we'll have nice things. That's the thing is, I'm okay.
One day we'll have nice things.
I'm okay with things not being nice. I just don't want to ever feel content from I don't know, from things being
knowing
rough.
that's just the situation that you're in, and it's just the way that it's always going to be.
No, I maybe part of that, but I'm okay with not having shit. I don't ever want. I don't ever want fulfillment from having, a couple shiny things when everything else is really rough. I want to make things not rough and not have anything shiny.
A general sense of good rather than a couple of nice things.
Yeah, exactly. I don't ever want to feel content with what I have. Not that I want more, but I always want to strive to be more.
Right. Just always strive for better.
Yeah.
I think that's good for us today. Thanks again, everybody, for listening. Yeah, that was fun. That lasted a lot longer than I thought it would, but it went well.
Very fun. People have been fucking awesome lately. Thank you guys very much.
Seriously. Thanks for listening and sharing and all the good stuff. We definitely appreciate it. It makes it seem more fun for recording.
Yeah, we got some fun stuff ahead. A couple more research-heavy topics, and then I think the next one might be more kind of what we were just talking about, the shiny versus the gritty, something in that lane.
Thank you to Approaching Human for the use of his music. You can find his work on SoundCloud at Approaching-Human.
Thanks, John.
Make sure to check out the show page at Trashcast on Instagram for news and arts from the show. Honestly, if you listen to the podcast and you don't follow the Instagram, what the fuck are you even doing?
You're missing out. Here's the thing: is even if you don't like the honorable mention stuff, just follow the Instagram, and it's like the cheat code, because it might take me a couple days to post it, but you get to see all the really fucking dope artists. Like, we're not gonna put up dumb shit on there, so it's cool shit.
Yeah. Also check out Facebook for the memes.
Yeah, that's trash. You can skip the Facebook, but it's all good. If you're super bored, you can check out my trashy art on Instagram at SkyZXXYZACX. New shit is on the way. And that's it.
Yeah, that's going to be all for us today. Stay classy, eat trashy.
Go fast, eat trash.